Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to be checking out the Threezero 1/6 scale Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That's right, my friends, some nice high-end 12-inch scale Power Rangers action figures. I have to give a shout out to the folks over at Threezero who did provide these for the purposes of this video. Let's dive right in and check them out. So each of the figures do come in their own individual boxed packaging. Very nice boxes too. The quality feels really good on them. They're sturdy. They're each color coded for the individual Ranger, and they've got the flap that when you open it up, it fully reveals the action figure on the inside. So really nice packaging, very colorful. And again, I do appreciate the sturdiness of these more high-end collectible boxes. But we're gonna go ahead and get these guys removed from the packaging so we can get a closer look at them. Now, they're very easy to pull out of the box, of course, very easy to put back in as well. There's no assembly or anything like that required. Essentially, each of the Rangers is just in a clamshell in the box, and then they come packaged with multiple interchangeable hands and their signature weapons. And once we've got them all out of the packaging, you can see that they look very nice all standing together. So we're really going to get in here and look at the details. I do want to start with the tape measure, so you can see that in the 1/6 scale, the figures do stand exactly at 12 inches tall. And I gotta say, very colorful. I love how bright and vibrant these guys look, especially when they're standing here all in a group. And they're really nice looking figures. The proportions are very nice, especially when you do some proper posing. I love this Red Ranger. The way he's standing, I'm pretty proud of that. Sometimes I feel like the proportions can be a little weird. Like the arms look a little strange the way I've got them posed with the Black Ranger there. But really, it probably just kind of depends on the way that you pose them around. We're going to get into the articulation here in a little bit. I think one of the things that really benefits these particular figures in this large scale, this high-end scale, are their outfits, because you could see that their suits look like they're actually made of a spandex-like material. So they look very realistic, and the quality on these is really good. Like, first of all, I love that sheen that they're all getting from the studio lights here. You can see just how very colorful, very bright. They got that nice kind of shimmer to them there. These white pieces here, like the diamonds on them, kind of feel like a separate piece. Maybe they're like vinyl or something that's attached to it, but it's all really nicely made. I think the quality is really good. The stitching looks really good on them. There doesn't appear to be any way to really remove these from the figures. In fact, here I can show you guys, like, you can pop things like the feet and the legs off, and you can see how the little spandex bodysuit piece kind of comes down over the legs, but there's really no proper way to remove them from the figures, so they're definitely not meant to come off unless you're planning to probably cut them off of the figures. But I do think that they look great. They're not too baggy. They're nice and form-fitting, but they also don't hinder the articulation, as you're going to see while we're talking about them. And I'm knocking them over here, so let's go ahead and just get a closer look at these guys individually here. So the glove pieces over here are actually a plastic sleeve that kind of slide up over the bodysuit there, just like the boots, just like how I just showed you with the boots. So of course the feet, the hands, those are also plastic, as is the helmeted heads there. And I gotta tell you, the helmets are really, really nice looking on these figures. First of all, of course, they do have a bit of a gloss to them, so they're a little shiny. And then they got a really great color there. They're bright, vibrant. They actually do a really good job of matching the color of the bodysuits, and I love all of the details worked in there. You know, like the teeth, where there's teeth, they're painted silver, they're shiny. The mouthpieces are nice in that shiny silver as well. I love like all the black tracing on the dinosaur shapes, around the eyes, all that stuff around the helmets. They all just look really, really nice. I think there's some really great details going on there. Another place where the details really stand out is in the power morphers that are on their belts. Now, the belts themselves also feel like they're probably a vinyl material that is wrapped around, but the morpher itself is a plastic piece. It does appear to be permanently attached, but again, beautiful details on there and some really nice colors. You can see the word Power Rangers is nice and clear on there, and then, of course, their power coins right there in the center are gold. They've got the dinosaur shapes on them. They just look absolutely gorgeous. So we need to go ahead and talk about the articulation on these guys. So we're going to go ahead and break that down for you right now. I've got the Red Ranger here. They're basically all sharing the same bodies. We'll look at the females here in a second as well, but all the male bodies are the same as far as I can tell in this line. So the heads are really nicely jointed. Look at that. You can really roll it all the way around there. It holds position very well. There's articulation at the top and the bottom of the neck there. So you can see it really moves around very nicely. You can get a really great range of movement there as well. The head also does come off that ball joint again, so you can see how the costume comes up there. So it clips in very nicely, and again, great range of motion. So you can see the shoulders, they can come out to the sides pretty nicely. They also move forwards and backwards very nicely. You can see they're double jointed up here. So right at the top of the bicep, kind of close to the shoulder, and then where the shoulder socket meets the torso. So there's a really nice ball and socket in there. So it's really does a great range of motion there. And you can see, like, it's really impressive the way that the outfits are nice and form-fitting, but they're still fluid. So we can still move the articulation, and that functions really, really well. So the elbows are double jointed. This is where the arms can look a little funny. Like, it's good for poses, but obviously that looks unnatural the way this elbow kind of flattens out and everything there. But still, good range of motion there. You kind of twist that around at the wrist as well. And let me just kind of pop this off so you guys can see it. You got that little ball joint there. This is also how the interchangeable hands are going to function. So this ball can swivel around. This is also on a peg, so it'll pop out as well of the forearm, which actually will help with the interchangeability. And then this is that plastic sleeve, which is the bottom portion of the glove. So the hands, they can also pose around as well. Now, there's no hinge joints or anything like that, but they do swivel pretty well. They don't move up and down that great, but you can still get some good, decent poses there. Now, the torsos, you do have a split kind of here in the midsection, so you can see how that's flexing all the way around, but then also at the waist there, that does feel like it's on a ball joint as well. So that is swiveling, working really well there with the flex of the uniform, kind of rolls all the way around. The legs, they can come out about this far. You can actually get a really good, look at this. You get this nice high kick here, which is really nice. So, you know, the uniform is hindering that a bit, but man, you can almost get a perfect split. Look at that. That is really, really nice. So that's going to really be good for any of those martial arts poses you want to get with these guys. The legs do also move forwards and backwards. You can hear that squeak in there. The joint is real tight up at the thighs, and that is a good thing. So that way they should hold their balance and pose really well. In fact, I was pretty impressed with how stable the legs are when I pulled these guys out of the box and positioned them. Now, the ankles are a bit of a different story. We're working our way down to them here. But I did want to show you the knees. Just like the ankles, they got that double joint in there. Looks a little weird when you've got it posed, but again, still makes for great posing. Then, you know, this is just a sleeve that goes over the lower portion of the leg, the calf and everything. So the ankles are on the same type of joints as the wrists there. So it's just like this little ball that is plugged into the bottom of the foot. And I'm going to keep this sleeve off for a second so you can see how it plugs into the foot there. So this is how it works. So you can kind of roll the foot all the way around. I will say the feet pop off very, very easily. It happens a lot when I'm posing these guys around. I don't know. I'm assume that that's by design to keep from breakage and stuff like that. But I will say that I wish this was a little bit tighter, because the ankles do feel loose at times. It gets a little frustrating when you're trying to pose these guys around and they're falling forwards because the ankles are just not locked in as tight as you'd like them to be, and then the feet fall off a bit. So really, that's the only place that I'm having issues, and it's not all the time. But look, you can see this right here, like just trying to stand him up, he's falling forwards because those ankles are a little bit loose, and there you go, there's the foot popping off there. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on when you're posing these guys around. But when you find the right pose, they do stand up really, really nicely. In fact, I was playing around with them and I was doing some different martial arts poses with them. And, you know, aside from the ankle, like I said, the rest of the legs are really, really tight. In fact, I had the Black Ranger balancing on one leg to deliver a high kick, and I was so impressed with how well that looked, how good it looked, and how well it worked. So it's definitely possible to get some really cool poses out of these guys. And like I said, the proportions are really good on here. They might look a little strange in the elbows and the arms there in some of your poses, but for the most part, I mean, these look like actual people, tiny people standing on your shelf in Power Ranger costumes. It is pretty cool. So I'll bring in the Green Ranger real quick just because he's got the added piece of the shield, the dragon shield that is over his torso. This is actually made of plastic. You can see it's a bit pliable there, but it's attached to the figure, and it doesn't get in the way of his articulation at all. He does also have the gold, like the rings basically that are around his biceps. Those fall down pretty easy, but you can slide them back up there. But you can see you can still get some poses out of his arms, even though the shield is there. It really doesn't get in the way too terribly much. Maybe just moving the arms forward a little bit, but it's really not so bad. So the female bodies seem to be exactly the same. They're just a bit smaller, of course. The proportions are a little bit different, but you still have a same great range of articulation there. You still got that mid-torso cut. You still got it at the waist there. The legs can split all the way out, which is really nice. Look at that. She can do the perfect splits there. So actually seems a little bit more posable than our male figures. But you can see same great posing there. I will say that the ankles seem even a little bit worse on the females. Like, I really have a hard time getting both Trini and Kimberly to stand, or I guess Aisha and Kimberly, or Aisha and Kat, whichever Rangers you want them to be. But you can see that the ankles do tend to bend forward pretty easy on her. I guess it's worth noting that Kimberly's got the skirt piece, but you can see that doesn't really ruin the articulation too much. I can still split her legs outwards. The skirt just kind of raises upwards. So the skirt does not hinder the articulation in her legs. So as I mentioned, there are a ton of interchangeable hands. Every figure comes with a slew of them. And of course, they're very Power Rangers-ish. You know, there's lots of different finger poses and open hands and closed fists and gripping hands. And of course, the male hands are a little bit bigger than the female hands, but they are all pretty much totally interchangeable between each other there so that you can mix and match those and get lots of different poses, which, you know, really helps to come up with lots of those different like Ranger-esque posing that you see, all the different martial arts moves and everything that you see right there in the show. Now, aside from the interchangeable hands, we got some really rad accessories. Now, you might have already noticed that each of them does have a holster hanging from their belt that has their blade blaster weapon attached. And these are really incredible. I was so impressed with the details on these things. Check this out. So each of them are, of course, in the same style. They're all red and white, but lots of paint applications here. You can see we got silver and black and blue and white. You can see it says Power Rangers right there. And of course, these can actually transform much like the ones in the show. So for example, we do have the little dagger blade in here that you can fold out. It's a bit tricky. It's so tiny, you might need to get something to help pry it out, but there you go. So that way you could pull that out and then they can hold on to their bladed weapon, like their tiny little daggers, or you can actually transform these into the blasters. We can fold the blade back up, and now we've got it in blaster form. So of course, all of the 5 main Rangers, excluding the Green Ranger, of course, comes with these particular weapons, and that way they can all pose with their blade blasters, which is really cool. Now, each of the 5 Rangers also comes with their signature weapons. So for the Black Ranger there, we've got the Power Axe weapon. I love the detailing on these as well. So first of all, colors look really good. You got silvers, black, yellow. You can see that nice shiny silver mastodon on here. But I also love all the wear. There's like some faux wear on there. So you can see there's like silver chips and everything all in it, making it really look like they're battle worn, like they've used them before. You can also, of course, move the handle on there, you know, would turn it into a blaster or the axe, which is very nice. Got Billy's Power Lance. Again, you can see nice shiny gold Triceratops on there. You can see the same kind of battle damage which is on there. And yes, these can actually be combined and extended. That way you can get the longer Power Lance weapon, which is really cool. We got the Yellow Ranger's Power Daggers. Again, love the shiny silver on there, the saber-toothed tiger. These look fantastic. And of course, you can get her to hold them in both of her gripping hands there. The Pink Ranger comes with the Power Bow, which is really, really nice. I love how it actually says Zayu Ranger on there. You know, it's red, but it's also got a pink string. There's an actual string on here. And you even get an arrow, which does have little notch on it. So here, let me see if I can get it lined up on the, yeah, check it out. Look, check that out. Might be kind of tricky to get her to hold it like this because, you know, you'd actually need some tension to pull that back, but it's still nice that it's on there. It's still cool that we've actually got the string on here. And of course, we got the power sword for the Red Ranger. I absolutely love the look of this thing. Love all the gold details down here and the little green kind of gems on there. It all looks really, really nice. And of course, you can combine all of these to make the power blaster. So check this out. If we just take the bow here, we can slide up this piece here, and the bow kind of just attaches right there to the front of the power axe, which is really, really nice. And then this is a really cool thing that I didn't realize was going to happen. I was sitting here looking at this and I was wondering how we were going to attach all this on here. And it turns out all of these pieces are magnetic. Check it out. So you can see there's like these little grooves on the bottom of the bow. And look at this. All of these pieces just magnetically attach. Now, while this is really cool, and you can see they're holding on there pretty well, I will say that it's not super strong in the fact that look how wobbly that they still are. So one of the struggles that I had with this, see, and then you just got to kind of attach the sword to the top. One of the struggles that I had with this is while I was trying to set up a pose with all of the Rangers using this like they did in the show, I just kept bumping pieces off of this. So it was a little bit of work to get it all together, but you can see it looks really, really cool when you get it all assembled. And if you do take the time, you have a little bit of patience to get all of your Rangers posed with it, it is a really cool ending result. But we can't forget about the Green Ranger. So the Green Ranger, first of all, comes with his evil sword, which is really, really cool looking. Again, beautiful details on there. I love how intricate all of this gold is. You got that red kind of gem down here. We even have an actual tassel hanging off the bottom of the sword. So it's absolutely beautiful. And of course, instead of the power blade, hanging off of his hip is the dragon dagger, and it is also beautiful, just like all the other weapons. Great details on here. I absolutely love all the paint deco, all of the colors on there. It looks wonderful, and we even have some hands so that we can make it look like he's playing the dragon dagger to call on the Dragon Zord. So there you go, my friends. There is a detailed look at the new Threezero 1/6 scale Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Overall, I really like these guys. I mean, the look of them is incredibly impressive. I think the quality feels real good on all of them. I love the outfits. You know, they look, like I said, they look very realistic. And I think that's one of the benefits of these guys is having those very realistic form-fitting suits like that. It works really well. Love the details on all of the weapons and everything. Articulation for the most part is pretty good. I think my biggest nitpicks is that the feet are loose at the ankles, the feet fall off really easy, and sometimes I have a lot of problems switching the hands as well. Like when you're putting the different weapons in the hands, they do have a tendency to pop off the socket pretty easy. Maybe that's all just me, right? Maybe that's all user error, but it does get really frustrating for when I was posing them around and shooting some of the photos for this particular video. But at the end of the day, I think they look really nice. They're very photogenic, so they were a lot of fun to shoot and put in different poses and try them out. And I think if you're a big Power Rangers fan and you've been looking for a nice high-end version of these characters, these are definitely going to look really nice posed on your shelf. They're going to look really good for those Power Rangers fans who've been wanting something in this more high-end style. With that being said, they are on the pricey side. These do run $99 per figure. However, there is a full 6-pack available that actually will save you some money. I think you save about $50 if you go the 6-pack route. These are all in stock right now at places like BigBadToyStore.com. I'm going to link to Big Bad Toy Store in the video description so you guys can check these out for yourself. Thank you all so very much for watching this video, and until next time.